steel structures for hydro dams, support the lumber industry, and drive industrial facilities across Quebec and Canada. I'd like to personally thank Claude and his entire team at FabTech for the work that they do building our country. These workers deserve the Canadian promise that in this country, if you work hard, you should get a great life in a safe place, in a beautiful, affordable home, protected by our proud troops under our beautiful flag. That is the Canadian promise. And we should be the richest country in the world, by the way. We have the second biggest landmass, the third biggest proven oil reserves, the sixth biggest lithium reserves, the biggest uranium and potash reserves, the biggest oceanic coastline of any country in the world, 154 million acres of farmland. We have an abundance of energy that can power these massive data centers, and we have the cold weather to cool them. We have 41 million highly educated, hardworking people ready to get the job done. So why aren't we the richest country in the world? Why have we lost $500 billion to the Americans and had the worst economic growth of all our competitors over the last 10 years? Why has our per capita GDP gone up so slow? In fact, the American per capita GDP has gone up 40 times faster than Canada's over the last decade. Well, that is the lost Liberal decade of blocking, taxing, and driving away business. A decade during which the Liberals were in power and Mark Carney was, for half of that time, the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. The reason is that partly we block everything in this country. We get in our own way. It takes 17 years to get a mine approved in Canada. It takes much longer here than in the rest of the world. Second slowest permits in the OECD. In the first 5 years of the Liberal government, they blocked $176 billion of resource and energy projects. They were canceled mostly due to government obstacles. These projects would have made us more self-reliant and independent from the Americans. For example, the Liberal government in Ottawa opposed the LNG Canada project in Saguenay, which would have brought Canadian natural gas to the Europeans. They opposed the Energy East pipeline, which would have brought 1 million barrels of Western oil to the St. John refinery to ship over to Europe, also breaking Putin's grip on Europe and allowing us to go around Donald Trump and the Americans. The company canceled that project after spending $1 billion on getting approved. The Liberal government suddenly changed the rules in the middle of the game. Justin Trudeau also vetoed the Northern Gateway pipeline, which would have taken about 500,000 barrels a day from Alberta to the Pacific to go over to Asia, again allowing us to go around the Americans. And Mark Carney testified that he supported Mr. Trudeau's decision to block that pipeline. Carney opposed pipelines in Canada while he invested in pipelines in the Middle East. He supported a carbon tax on our Canadian industry and consumers, all while his company, Brookfield, invested in American coal. And just 6 days after Donald Trump threatened tariffs on Canada, Mark Carney backed down and moved his company headquarters from Toronto to New York, bringing Canadian jobs to America. He continues to have millions of dollars of interests we now believe to be invested in Brookfield, that same company with which he claimed he had cut ties. He admitted the other day in a stunning flip-flop that he has conflicts of interest that he will have to manage, but he won't tell us what those conflicts are. He expects us to elect him without knowing the many millions of dollars of conflicts that will make it impossible for him to do his job, interests that go against the national interest. And that is why today I'm calling on Mr. Carney to do the right thing and publish all of his financial holdings to everyone in Canada so that they can judge the conflicts he faces. He knows what he owns, and there's nothing in the law that prevents him from publishing that information for all eyes to see if he has got nothing to hide. We need a leader who's busy putting Canada first, not keeping an eye on investments that go against the Canadian interest. The radical Liberal keep-it-in-the-ground ideology opposes resources in Canada while supporting dirty foreign investments. Most of all, C-69, the Liberal No Pipelines Act, makes it impossible to ever get any projects approved. The consequence is that the U.S. gets 97% of our oil and 100% of our natural gas exports. And because we can't sell to anyone else, the Americans rip us off. They pay us $63. The other day they were paying us $63 for a barrel of oil, while the world price was $76. They pay us $4 for a million metric British thermal units of natural gas, while in Europe the price is $15. You sell something for $4 that's worth 15, you get poor very quickly. So that's why we need to get east-west pipelines. We need to get oil through Quebec in order to create jobs for Quebec steelworkers and Quebec construction workers while we break our dependence on Trump and in America. The Liberals have driven $500 billion south. I want to bring it home. And that's why we need to put Canada first. It's time to bring home our jobs, energy, and economic sovereignty. That is what my Bring It Home economic plan is all about. And so today, I'm announcing that a Conservative government will bring forward Canada First shovel-ready zones, areas pre-approved for large-scale industrial and resource projects. This is how it will work. First, we will identify a spot that looks appropriate for a mine, a pipeline, an LNG plant, a power station, a hydroelectric dam. Second, we will make sure that the place is safe and that it won't harm the people or the environment to put the project there. Third, my government will do the necessary environmental studies in partnership and collaboration with the provinces, municipalities, and we will carry out the necessary constitutionally required consultations with the First Nations up front so that they can be done before the investors even step up. Fourth, when all of this is done, we will offer pre-permitting before we even get applications so that permits can be published online with a required checklist of actions that businesses must take to comply in protecting people and the environment. Then businesses would have all the information, legally binding, published online that they could use to make a real investment decision. This will be necessary after years of uncertainty where businesses spent billions of dollars in many years getting to a maybe. They will know that they have a yes up front. They can do the math, pencil it out, and get busy. I'm also announcing that a common-sense Conservative government will work to make LNG Canada here in the Saguenay region one of those shovel-ready zones, pre-approved, so that we can ship Western Canadian LNG through a pipeline to this region, liquefy it here using the great workers of the Saguenay to get it done. The goal will be to pre-publish permits online so that everybody knows, and next time investors don't have to fear that they're going to waste so much money on lawyers and fees all to get to nothing. The result will be that companies will be able to ship our energy, to go around the Americans, break European dependence on Putin, ship our energy to Asia so that the Asians can break their dependence on coal and use clean Canadian natural gas instead. The goal is to turn dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people. The same could be done for the Ring of Fire in Northern Ontario. Why not create shovel-ready zones across Northern Ontario where the companies would know that they are pre-approved to mine copper, chromite, cobalt, nickel, gold, and other essential minerals that we need for our security and our economy. We will unleash hundreds of billions of dollars in power plants, nuclear energy, mines, pipelines, data centers, and much more. These places will be humming with the sound of equipment, of machines roaring away, talented, hardworking Canadians moving quickly to build the infrastructure and the energy of the future while they walk home with powerful paychecks. Welders, boilermakers, pipe fitters, miners, factory workers will be able to spend those paychecks in local businesses. The economy will boom, raising funds for hospitals and schools. Most of all, we will be less reliant on the Americans. We will be self-reliant, sovereign, and stand on our own 2 feet while we stand up to the Americans and stand up for ourselves. We will restore Canada's promise that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful, affordable house on a safe street, protected by brave troops under a proud flag. Canada first. Let's bring it home. Thank you very much for your question. I'm not seeking, Mr. Lagos, I'm not out seeking provincial premier's endorsements. Today's meeting with Mr. Legault is because we have some shared challenges for Canada and Quebec that we need to discuss. One is how we break the overdependence on the American economy by developing resources, doing more interprovincial trade, unleashing our economy, cutting red tape, and really unleashing the potential of Canada. Second, he wants to talk about the broken liberal immigration system and how we can fix those problems. Third, of course, we'll be talking about protecting the French language, and we'll talk about any shared priorities or plans that we both have in common. So that's what that meeting is for, so the answer to your question is no. And then on the final question, we will have open media across the country. Local media will have the ability to ask questions. It will be refreshing to hear from local outlets on what they have to say about their local priorities. And I would note that I'm answering a lot more questions from the media than Mr. Carney, and I think he should open up in answering more questions himself, particularly about his many millions of dollars of conflicts of interest. He admits now, I'm not accusing him of a conflict of interest, he admits that he has conflicts of interest in his holdings. He says that he's going to come up with a plan for that after the election. That is unacceptable. He should divulge all of his millions of dollars of holdings right now. Thank you. Just want to repeat in English what I said in French. The gentleman asked that, he said the promoters of the GNL, the LNG project in the Saguenay region, are now in a lawsuit because of the way the project was canceled last time. How do we expect to actually reattract business to invest in these projects? Well, that's exactly what the shovel-ready zones seek to solve. You see, the reason why companies and pension funds don't want to invest in Canada is because they know they'll spend 14 years just getting to a maybe, and that they might end up with the same nightmare that these investors did. Elsewhere in the world, these projects are being built without any subsidies. In the States, they built 8 LNG plants in the last 10 years. We've completed 0. There's only one that's almost coming online, and that was approved by the previous Harper government. The Qataris have almost doubled their production. They've signed supply agreements with France to supply Qatari gas to France that we could be supplying. The Germans built an import terminal for natural gas from concept to completion in 194 days. And in Canada, it takes 14 years just to get a permit. The problem is not that investors don't want to invest. It's that they're terrified of spending millions or billions of dollars on lawyers, applications, consultations, accountants, etc., all to get to a maybe or a no. What I'm proposing today with these shovel-ready zones is to give them pre-approval so that when they put the money, when they step up to the plate, they already know that they have a permit and what they have to do to comply with that permit. That's how we're going to put Canada first and bring the jobs home.